Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you how you can use AI in your Mac shortcuts. Now, in macOS Tahoe, the Shortcuts app has an action where you could feed some text to a model, in other words, an AI large language model, and get a result. So how can you use this? Well, since you can just feed about any prompt you want into the AI and then get the result and do anything you want with it in the Shortcuts app, the possibilities are pretty much limitless. But practically, of course, there are some things that are easier to do in Shortcuts than other things, and the results from AI large language models aren't always going to be exactly what you want. So here's some practical examples just to give you some ideas of what you can do now, and maybe you'll be able to take some of these ideas and modify them for your own needs. Now, if you haven't used Shortcuts much, a lot of this is probably going to be a bit too advanced for you right now, but it gives you an idea of what's possible. So the first one I want to show to you is something to do in a spreadsheet. I've got this shortcut here called Format Spreadsheet Names. And the idea is that sometimes you get a list of names in a spreadsheet and there are all sorts of different formats. I've actually got such a list here in this numbers document. You can see that the names are in tons of different formats. Maybe people entered them in this way, or you got them from a database like this, but you want them to all be pretty uniform. So the idea here is to be able to select a list of names and copy. And then here in the shortcut, it will take the clipboard result, break it up by new lines, and then combine it again with new lines. I do that because what you get when you're copying data from numbers is basically a little mini table. And I just want to make sure we have some nice clean text for the AI to work with. For a lot of cases, you may not need any of that. Then I'm going to feed in to the special action called Use Model that we've got starting with macOS Tahoe, where you could feed a prompt into either Apple Intelligence, here called the Private Cloud Model, the on-device model of Apple Intelligence. In other words, don't use the internet at all. Just use a large language model that comes with the operating system. So it's appropriate for some things, but not for others. And then you can use an extension. In this case, ChatGPT is what Apple has enabled so far as an extension. So you could use all the power of probably the most mature model out there, ChatGPT's model. So I've got that here, and I'm using the prompt. This list of names uses different formats for each name. Change it so that each name is in the format. And then I put first, and then in parentheses, middle initial with a period, last. And here's the list, colon, and then the next line, the results from this, the combined text. So it should get the list in here in the prompt of all of those names. Now, of course, all this language can be changed. The great thing about using large language models is you're just speaking to it and asking for something. So you could try different things. If you're not getting the results you want, you could try other things. You can keep modifying this. Then it's going to combine the response with new lines. Here, I've set the response to output to list. In the use model action, you can say just whatever the automatic response is, always give me text, give me a number, that kind of thing. In this case, a list in Shortcuts. And I'm going to combine that list with new lines. So just give me some plain text and then copy that to the clipboard. So as you can see, this can be run anywhere. As long as I copied the text from numbers there, I can now run this. I can run it from the Spotlight menu. I can run it from here. I can add this to the dock, however I want to run this shortcut. So I'm just going to run it right here. And it's going to go through and process things. Notice I have it set to use the on-device model. I decided for something like this, just figuring out what the names are, it probably doesn't need the online models. And sure enough, the results here you can see at the bottom, it produces exactly what I want. So now I could go back here to numbers and I could paste the results in here, or I could have pasted over this to get what I wanted. It helps to paste it next to it first, of course, just to maybe do an eyeball double check here just to see that it got everything the way you want it. Of course, you can go back to this and change this prompt, have it come out with a different format, maybe have it do last name, comma, first, and then when you pasted it in, the comma would tell numbers you want that to be in separate columns. That could be really useful. And you can use this for a variety of different things. Maybe there are a bunch of dates in different formats, and you're going to use this to say, hey, I want the date to be in this very specific format. And if the on-device model doesn't give you the results you want, even after playing with the prompt, you can always switch to Apple Intelligence or Chat GPT to see if it does better. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MACMOST through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. The next one I want to show you is this very simple one. Tell me about the song. So a lot of times we're listening to music and we like to know what's the deal with the song. So this is going to get the current song from the music app. As you can see here in Control Center, I've got a song playing. Then it's going to call out to, in this case, ChatGPT. I really want some deep knowledge here. So I figured the best model for this is probably ChatGPT. And it's going to ask, is the song, and here what I've done is I've inserted this result here, the song, twice. But when you click on it, you can have it just be the media itself, or you can choose what you want. So in this case, the first time I chose title. The second time I chose artist. Then look up the song on Wikipedia and other sources. I wanted to kind of emphasize, check out Wikipedia when you do this, and give me some interesting facts about it. And just left it up to ChatGPT to do that. And then I'm just going to simply use show in Quick Look to show me the results. Nothing special. I don't need any special interface here. I'm just going to run this here with that song now playing in the background. It's going to ask for permission, and it's going to call out to ChatGPT. And let's see what it comes back with. There we go. So we get a nice little bit of information about the song. And it'd be nice to actually call this using Spotlight and just be able to bring it up anytime I want. So I could go to the details here, and I could make sure Show in Spotlight is selected. Then when I do Command Space and then Command 3, I could search for Tell Me, and I could see Tell Me about the song. So I can just maybe call this song. And now I can just type song, and it's going to always go right to that and give me the results of this shortcut. And note, one of the things I could do is instead of Quick Look here, I could take that away, just have it end with this and turn on follow-up. So it'll give me the results, but then also a prompt. That allows me then to maybe ask further questions about the song. So imagine, for instance, how you could select text or something in a document and copy that and then use this to ask ChatGPT about it and then continue with the follow-up there to ask more questions. Here's another use. You know when you go to a news article or you just see a news article and it's got a question as the headline and you just want to know the answer to the question. You don't need to read a whole article about it. Well, you can have ChatGPT read the article for you and just give you the straightforward answer. So I created this just answer the question shortcut. And all it does is looks for the current web page from Safari, whatever you've got running there, and then it feeds that into ChatGPT. From this article, can you find a question in the headline and give me the answer to that question? And if I run it now, it's going to look at what is the article there in Safari. It'll ask me permission the first time. I'll always allow. And then here we go. It identifies the question and it gives me the answer. Here's another one. And I'll use Spotlight this time. And I'll search for I'll go with Command 3 to the actions here. And there's just answer this question. I can add some quick keys if I want. I'll just double click on this. It's going to run the shortcut and look at the current page, this one, and come up with the answer. And this is a good example of a case where you need to try all the three options here. On device and Apple Intelligence didn't actually work most of the time when I tried it. It didn't seem to be able to figure out what the headline was or figure out what the answer to the question was. The results were not great. ChatGPT, a much more mature large language model, seemed to be able to figure it out almost every time. Now, here's the last and most complex one. One of the cool things that LLMs can do is to look at images and figure out things about the images. So what this rather longer shortcut here is it's going to ask for a folder, and then it's going to do a few things before it gets to the AI part. One is it's going to get the folder path, so it's going to use that later. Then it's going to get the contents of the folder, and then it's going to filter it looking for items in here that are less than 4K. What files are less than 4K? Folders are. That's just a kind of quick way to actually filter out and only get the folders inside the folder. Why? Well, I've got this folder here, and in it are a whole bunch of images, but also I've created a few folders: animals, buildings, other, and trees. And the idea is I want all of these images to be sorted into these folders. So this is going to get a list of folders. It's going to combine them with a comma and a space and set a variable called folders to it. So it's going to get a list of those 4 folders. Then it's going to filter again that same list from here, from the folder that was selected, and get everything greater than 4K. What's greater than 4K? Well, all the images in there. Then it's going to go and repeat through each image and send to the on-device model, because it just needs to look at the image and figure out what's there. So it's just going to use that. It's going to take each item as it goes through the repeat loop, so each image, look at this image and decide which of these folders it belongs in. And then I'm putting in that comma-separated list of folders. Return only the exact name of the folder and no other text. So it should return something like animals. Then it's going to run a shell script that's just going to use the mv command to move. Now there is a move file action here in Shortcuts, but unfortunately it doesn't seem to be able to work in a lot of cases. And in this case, I really needed just something very simple and specific. So I'm just using a simple 1-line shell script, mv, and then I'm creating the folder path from that original selection with the repeat item, dot, and the file extension. So that's just the original file as we're going through this loop here. And then I'm doing the same thing. This is exactly the same, except I'm inserting slash and the response. So if it's like animals, it would be slash animals. In other words, put it inside that folder. Now, I first tried using the on-device model to do this, and it didn't work. It wouldn't look at the images. The same thing with Apple Intelligence here. But ChatGPT seems to do it just fine. So let's give it a go. I'm going to leave the folder open here, and I'm actually going to select all and do Command right arrow to open up all of these folders. And then I'm going to run it using Spotlight, Command Space, Command 3, sort images. There it is. Going to run it. And I'm going to select the folder, open. And you can see it started there. It's moved some in here like that. And you can see it's just continuing to work one by one. It's put 1 in trees. It's got 2 in animals now. And we'll just let it go through all these and finish. And there it goes. Let's test this out. Let's turn on Show Preview. So we see the preview here to the right. Then under Animals, we see, yep, animal, 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 animal. There's gorillas right there. Animal, animal. Under Buildings, building, 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 and buildings. Under Other, yeah, this is a picture of a beach here. There's no animal in it. There's no building in it. There are trees in it. And then under Trees, there's trees, more trees, more trees, more trees. So it correctly identified every one of those images. I wouldn't expect it to be perfect every time, but neither would I expect myself to be perfect if I was doing this manually. This just took no effort on my part after I got it running. And I could have created folders with any names that I wanted in here and had the same shortcut sort them. And with a little more work, it could work with things that aren't even images, work with other kinds of documents. So you could sort PDFs based on what a large language model thinks each one is. So of course, these are just examples. There are tons of completely different things you can do using large language models inside of Shortcuts. And there are tons of ways to modify these ideas. I'll include these 4 shortcuts at the post at MACMOST.com so you can look at them yourself and try modifying them. It can be a little frustrating working with shortcuts. Sometimes things, especially when you're using large language models, don't quite seem to work the way you want them. But with a little patience and a lot of experimentation, you can create some very useful things to help you with various tasks. Or if this is a little too advanced for you right now, at least it gives you an idea of what's coming. Usually stuff like this starts out needing a lot of technical skill to build it, but it gets easier and easier as the years go by. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.